Tupac. It's a remix, yeah.
Number of his songs.
Number of his songs. Okay, let's raise your voice again. It's a happy new year. It's a happy new day. And we have a happy new guests. Welcome guys, this is Tough Life. Welcome to 2020. We haven't been doing this in a very, very, very long time. But I promise you, we're going to give you the best content this year as we're starting the year with you. Today I go with me, my main man, one of the funnest brains. Should you say you're the youngest or the young brains or something?
No, I don't even know. Whichever way you introduce me.
But if somebody says young in everything, like in terms of introductions and all that, what do you think? Like, does it kind of undermine you?
I don't consider a 30-year-old man young because the concept of age is something else. Things meaning we are attached to it's something else. So I don't think who decide what's young.
Yeah.
In terms of chronological age, psychological age.
Yeah. Yo man, you're getting deep now, but let's start off with this. Guys, this is Makgoba. Reginald. Reginald is not so popular.
Yes, because I used this name when I was in primary school.
Oh yeah.
And when I was in high school, some parts of my undergraduate education. But when I completed my masters, when I went back to the UK for a PhD, I decided that I don't need the name anymore because
you were woke.
Well, I wouldn't call wokeness.
Yeah.
I would say I came so conscious with my
identity.
Yes.
I think we're gonna get back there, right? First of all, I just want to thank you for making time, joining us here at Tough Life. I basically meet young people who are making a difference in our society in all platforms. It could be academia, it could be socially, it could be, you know, entertainment and everything. And I thought, looking at the period of the year that we're at right now, I thought, why not bring you in and we talk about a variety of things, like, for example, education, because I believe that's something that you are passionate about, right? So I'm really thankful that you got to make time. I had to call you and fly you out from the UK to back home. Can you give me that?
Yes, why not?
So first of all, let's as Metjie Makgoba, at least for those who don't know you, like just at least let us know who's this guy and what do you do.
Well, yeah, I mean, identifying myself or introducing myself must be the most difficult thing.
Yeah,
because when you introduce yourself to people, it has to be for a purpose and for a reason.
Oh,
but
my goodness.
If we are in this conversation for my academic career, I would say to you that I'm a Commonwealth scholar.
Yeah.
And I hold a master's degree in media and cultural studies from Newcastle University in England.
Okay.
And I'm passionate about the critique of society in society.
Yeah.
Specifically the critique of gender and race.
Okay.
And just institutional practices that people consider normal. I'm interested in deconstructing things that people take for granted as normal.
So when you say deconstructing and all that, are you talking about looking at theories?
Not per se. What I'm trying to say,
you probably have created your own theory, because you see, I want us to be free and relax in this whole thing. Not necessarily that it's about academia and all that, but people also like to know this person, because you've been in the Mainland Guardian as one of the 200 young scholars. What was that? Young scholars or academics or something?
One young South Africans to look up to.
In the next few years. Do you still think people can still look up to you?
Well, to an extent, but I'm not worried about what people think of me or think what I can do in life, because I'm just living my life freely as much as possible, doing what I love the most, which is enriching my understanding of society and the things around me as a cultural critique. So whether people are looking up to me, I would say maybe it happens by coincidence, but it's not something that I really think about.
So looking at the issue of cultural identity and the society at large, what are some of the things that you identified as a scholar or just as a human being and say, you know what, since I've become this learned somebody, I believe these are some of the constructions which the narrative is not really the way it is, but it was just injected in us?
Okay, we will focus on two things, gender and race. In South Africa, we have a problem of white supremacy. The notion that white people are better than blacks. And a lot of black folks live with that understanding. When they see a white person, they consider the white person to be something that is close to God or something that is cleaner than them. And I think that's a problem because we're all human. White people aren't better than us. They just benefited from colonialism and apartheid, and they benefited from the fruits of colonialism, but they aren't better than us. So black people need to think themselves as humans before any other things, and they shouldn't feel inferior when they see people of other races. And then we also have to understand that race is not something that is biological. It's not something that is natural. It's something that was created by white supremacists because they wanted to justify an oppression of different races, Africans in particular.
Do you think we are making progress in terms of deconstruction, in terms of changing the narrative so far?
I think that's a very complicated question, but I would say two things. Firstly, the deconstruction movement, which ought to undermine and disrupt white supremacist movement in South Africa or in Europe generally, it's kind of a discourse that is limited to elite. People who are in upper classes, people who are in educational spaces. But people who ought to benefit from that discourse are not actually involved in the conversation, which makes it difficult for us, because when you check,
do you think it's deliberate?
No, it's not deliberate. It's because we are dealing with historical legacies of apartheid. Many of our people don't have access to literature, do not have access to educational tools. So whenever we talk about this type of things, and you also could say that is deliberate because the education system is supposed to be educating us about what happened in the past and how can that empower us to grow as a nation or as a black nation. But I feel like that empowerment discourse is kind of limited to upper middle class, who are also at some point in bed with white supremacists.
Wow. Kanye West came out and say the 400 years of slavery was self-inflicted. He says we could have done something and all that. It was talking something of, according to my understanding, it was something that has to do with the physical oppression, but then now all that is changing. Until then, now the system, it's in the system of oppression is changed into a level where, when you apply for a loan, for example, the rates for black people, they're way higher than the whites and all that. Do you think back from then, when he started talking about this whole thing, like 400 years of slavery and all that, do you think something could have been done before we can reach the 400-year milestone? Do you think it was kind of self-inflicted?
No, it was not self-inflicted because let's talk about America, for instance. We had Malcolm X. We had Martin Luther King, who were advocating for the rights of black Africans. What happened to them? They were killed. So somebody cannot say nonsensically that black people's slavery was self-inflicted, whereas leaders of the black community who tried to raise their head were killed by white people, sadly sometimes with the help of our African brothers. We can think of what happened in Biginabe. Sankara took over the country, and then he tried to change the country. Then he was assassinated. So to say that the slavery or oppression of black people is inflicted, it's nonsensical, and it's a disrespect to black people.
You've one of the people like who got the opportunity to study abroad, moving from places like that are, moving from an, let me just say, impoverished, for the lack of better word, and to a place that is like completely different from where you come from and all that. You moved to the UK, you're doing your PhD, and I mean you did your masters, your PhD. I just want to firstly, get personal, like, how was it, the impression there, like, first time when you just got there, like, what was in your head?
Well, I think when I studied my master's, I was a little bit naive because I was excited that I was going there, but at the same time, I was anxious, thinking that, look, I grew up in a village, lived my whole life in a village, and then I did my undergraduate in a rurally based institution, and it was kind of a big step for me that I'm going to be living in a culturally different society. And firstly, when I arrived in Newcastle in 2013, I struggled with the language. People spoke with a Geordie accent in Newcastle, and I kind of didn't get it. But when time went on, I think I started to understand gain some cultural literacy, and I got used to the environment. But the weather and the food are something that I never managed to kind of get used to.
What, there's no pub there?
There was, but you needed to go the extra mile to get pub. Like, you get it online, and it's very costly as compared to here.
Bro, what do you mean you get it online?
You have to order online because you would not find pub in Newcastle because there aren't a lot of black people.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Educational in the educational spaces, what I realize is that the education system in South Africa is quite difficult.
Yeah.
Because you expect people to get a 50%, but you don't give them the necessary support to get the 50%. I was shocked to learn that undergraduate students in the USA just need a 40%. In the UK, need a 40% to pass. Yeah, but here we expect them to get 50s, which is kind of difficult here. And what also struck me is that you have a lecture. After a lecture, somebody organizes you in smaller groups, and you kind of repeat the lecture in a different way to ensure that students actually internalize the content. And we also had what we call tutors. Okay. Tutors are a South African version of a class rep, where you have a teacher in high school who's your class rep or class teacher who takes care of a particular class. So in the UK, a lecturer would be looking after 6 students every year. When they have problems, whether it's social, cultural, academic, financial, they'll go to the person. You can lose your boyfriend. You have somebody in the university who will be willing to listen to your stories about your boyfriend, because they don't try to separate education and social life, because those two things coexist.
Yeah. So now I just wanted to maybe how easy it is now. I don't know if there's any change, right? But okay, let me first ask you this question. You mentioned the difference in terms of the education system, like in the UK and here. So in terms of the pass mark and everything, do you think we're making it difficult for our students to learn or to show that they've learned something, in terms of, because now it's assessment, right? If they got 40 and we got 50, and still the education system, the literacy rate is higher than us, but then here we're supposed to get 50s and everything. What's the balance there? Like, how are we balanced? What's the difference there?
Okay, first and foremost, I need to say that marks do not reflect the intelligence or the competence of a person, but I think in South Africa, for instance, there is a overemphasis on the percentage.
Okay.
Whereas in the UK particularly, people, they will give you support.
Okay.
And then when you write an essay, if you don't understand, you'll go sit with somebody who can explain to you how to write the essay.
Yeah.
And still, they put essay questions and you feel like, no, this question are not aligned with my interest.
Yeah.
You can go to the lecturer and say, look, I don't agree with the essays that you have put here as questions.
Yeah.
Can I write my own essay based on the same content? And the student will sit and look, I want to write this essay this way. So which means students are given freedom to even redefine the question that are
themselves.
Yeah. So, and we also have to be careful that when we are comparing South Africa and the UK, we are not trying to emphasize which one is bad, which one is good. These are just different cultural experiences.
Yeah. Do you think that worked for you, like, personally, like, moving and studying abroad? Do you think there's any difference, like you staying and you going?
Yeah, I think I grew fast in the 1 year I spent in Newcastle doing a master's degree. For one reason, in the UK, particularly Newcastle where I studied, because I'm going to focus on that.
Yeah.
So somebody who teaches you a subject would have two things. Number one, they would have been working on the same subject for a huge number of years, whether as a researcher or a practitioner. So that person will be teaching you from their personal experience. Look, I did a master's in media and cultural studies, and in those courses I had a lecturer who had a diploma.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and she had a diploma in PR. On that diploma, she had 30 years experience as a PR manager who was running a very successful PR company.
Wow.
So when she was teaching you PR, she was not teaching you PR based on the things she has read somewhere. She was teaching you PR because she's living PR every day.
Yeah.
If somebody is doing research as well, they will be teaching you a subject because they are researching that subject consistently and rigorously.
I also want to ask you about, like, opportunities, right? You know, some people would find it hard to even think of studying abroad, and, you know, because money and everything, but there's a whole lot more that's involved in terms of, you know, studying overseas and everything. And looking now at the period of the year, it's January. I've seen some interviews, some top students like say, you know, like, I'll be studying abroad, I'm going to the UK, I have so many options and all that. For somebody who comes from a rural area or a village and get to the top of the world, maybe I should put it like that, and study abroad and all that, how was the transition? What happened there, like, in terms of how did you get there? Actually, that's my question. Like, you know, bursaries, scholarships and everything, because I feel that information is still lacking in most of our learners, to most of our learners. Like, it's still a far-fetched thing to think of.
Okay, firstly, many people think that to study in Europe or in the UK or in the US, you have to be super smart.
Yeah.
And they just feel like somebody who studies abroad is an angel or is super intelligent, which is not true. Because, for instance, if you get an average of 70% in South Africa, it can secure you a space in a UK university with a scholarship. Okay. So the most important thing is to be aware of what are the available scholarships. Do I qualify to study at a university? And if you identify, for instance, you want to study at Newcastle University, you can go to their website and check if you qualify for for the programs that they are offering. The most important thing is also the issue of language, because whenever you want to study abroad, especially in English-speaking countries, they would expect you to write in English language, because even though English in South Africa is a medium of instruction, European universities still expect us to write English tests, which is a very racist thing. But
really? So is it only based on black people, students?
They know that majority of people who would end up not speaking English as a first language are largely black people or people of color or yellow people. So for me, I think that's a form of racist approach to education, because now language is being used as a mechanism for exclusion.
Yeah. So according to you, in Africa as a whole, do you think when you compare countries, I don't know which countries, maybe let me say, because I've been hearing this thing going on, just say, South Africans, like the young people are scared of traveling, they don't want to change, they just want to stay at one place and all that. Do you think that is the truth? Like when you compare and look at the countries, the majority of students that you were around, like the distribution, where was it coming from?
Okay, I think there's some truth in that line of thinking. For instance, I'm sure you're gonna cut that out.
It's okay, it can go on.
So for instance, I had a lot of Kenyan friends, and most of my friends were also from Nigeria.
Okay.
And it shows that South African students were not in numbers. When I went to Newcastle, majority of the black people I met in the streets, they were either from Nigeria or Ghana or Zimbabwe or Kenya. And worse, when I went to Newcastle, majority of the students came from Uganda and Kenya.
Wow.
And I got used to them very well. So I would say, based on my personal experience, because I've not conducted a study to compare the distribution of students across the...
academics, does it have to go down to like, I haven't done a study? Come on.
No, I mean, we need to be realistic.
Okay.
So I have not done that. So, but based on this personal experience, I can say that, look, we have not... majority of our people don't travel.
South African?
Yes.
What do you think is the cost?
The cost of the traveling, I really don't know. Maybe it's because in terms of development, in terms of stability politically, South Africa is one of the most stable countries. Although I'm sure that a revolution is coming in this country.
This man is campaigning now.
So the revolution is coming in this country.
What do you mean revolution is coming?
There's no doubt about that. Actually, revolution is actually happening as we speak.
Okay.
So other countries are less stable as compared to us. So majority of our people don't see a need to, and for other instances or for other reasons, UCTs, VETs, UFS are as much as good as other international competitive universities. So we kind of have options. For other people, going to abroad means getting into a good university, whereas our people in South Africa can still go to UCT and get great education.
And another thing that I also notice is that, there's this narrative that says most students or most people, black people especially in the UK, say after studying, after completing your studies and everything, it becomes very difficult for one to get a job there. That's why you're having a lot of people coming back home, and we'll be surprised, like, why do you have to come back? Like, you got this opportunity, stay there, don't come back. I mean, that place is a place of honey and butter and all that, but when you guys come back, like, you have this perception or you have this experience to say, it's not like that, but still we don't believe, because we want to go there and experience this on our own. But when we get there, it's like a whole different world where it's not even conducive for one. Not to say anything bad about the UK or something, but I've watched a lot of people talking online to say, the UK, it's very much difficult, especially when you are not a student anymore. If I was
it's true, but there are a number of issues connected to this. Firstly, UK is a racist country.
Okay.
It's very difficult to get integrated as a black person. because the societal norms expect some kind of assimilation. You have to assimilate into their society. So if you go there, you kind of expected to speak English first and foremost, and you also have to have a certain accent. So people like myself who have like kind of strong African accents, when we are there, and even when we speak English, we kind of like get discriminated against. And just like being black in the UK is difficult. The institutions are not actually get up to look out for black people. We suffer a lot, but socially it's difficult. But in terms of how institutions operate, like I can say for instance, the healthcare sector in the UK is functioning properly, and the education system is functioning properly. But in terms of why shouldn't people stay there, I think it's for other reasons. For instance, in my case, when you apply for a scholarship, one of the commitments that you have to make is that when you complete your degree, go back home and go make a change. So for other people, it's making a change. And for other people, when you go there, we also have families here who wants to be with us. So when you travel the world, you have to consider a number of issues, like when I live here, where would my folks be? They want to see me, they miss me. But whether it's hard to get a job in Europe, I don't think it is. It's a matter of, if you're interested, you can figure out the social norms of getting a job, and you can align yourself with that spirit and get a job.
Because when you mention that, others think of families and all that, actually it's one of the reasons that I did not point out as to why it's said that young South Africans don't want to move and all that. They feel like we're kind of too spoiled or something. Like if you go, you wanna quickly come back, or you don't go, you just want to stay, giving reasons that I want to be with my mom, I can't leave my wife, I can't leave my girlfriend.
Well, I think
how was the distance for you?
For me, I grew up as a middle child. I grew up herding goats. I graduated, started herding.
Did you miss your goats?
No, what I'm trying to say is that I grew up isolated.
Wow.
I spent too much time in the bush. So being away from my family is something that I gotten used to as a
Africa.
As a young person. So when I traveled, I did miss my people, but it's not something that would turn into a psychological problem. Because when some people are homesick, their lives stop. Because they would actually need to go home and get something to manage their homesickness. But in my case, I think in my first visit there, I lost a lot of weight.
I know. I saw that. Like, okay, you're not big and all that, but when you came back, we could see the difference. From that difference,
I lost weight because the food isn't delicious.
It's not,
and it's very expensive. And because of that, I struggled in terms of nutrition and diet. And then the other thing, I think when the sun reaches the UK, it's almost tired. So I was told that I have vitamin A deficiency. I don't get enough sun. So at least when I'm here, I get burnt, but at least I have access to sun, and there the sun gets there very tired.
What are the opportunities out there for those who want to travel? We're just about to wrap up. Like, for those who want to, get such opportunities.
I think if you want to study abroad, firstly, when you study your undergrad, do it very well, because UK universities, when they accept your application, they look you from day one. They treat, like in the UK, students do a 3-year degree, but they call it honors. And that honors will get you to masters. So if you have a lot of 50s re-exam granted, they will not consider you. They need some level of consistency from first year to honors, sometimes to masters. They need a second class, which is our 70% in South Africa. Most universities, to get a minimum requirement is second class. So it's actually not so difficult. People just have to do away with the super myth that to go abroad you need to be super intelligent. I think if you have the spirit and you have the good grades, which are not really, many people have those good grades, but they don't even think about going to abroad because they think they are not super intelligent.
Yeah, but some say the application process is just crazy on its own.
Well, it depends on what scholarship you are applying.
Yeah.
Many scholarships will pay for your visa application.
Okay.
So it's not difficult, because if you apply for a Commonwealth, they say you have a scholarship, they'll send you information on visa application. Yeah. They'll nominate somebody to look after your visa application process. Yeah. If you don't understand things, you can just send the person the email. Within a few hours, the person would have responded, because people there do respond to email quickly.
Yeah, I know. I think we should just call it as it is, and sometimes like it's just pure laziness. I think, you know, when you, let's say it's Fulbright and there's an opportunity for you to study abroad and everything, and you want to start complaining about the application process like on the go.
Well,
what's gonna happen to you?
It's not. I don't think our people are lazy.
Not everyone.
Of course, we need to put things into context.
Yeah.
Our people have been denied education for over 350 years, getting better education. So that sort of cultural expression and competence has been denied to our people. Or sometimes when we see things such as scholarship applications has been long and tedious, we get scared because of where we come from as a society. So it's not a matter that people are lazy. It's just like, if you give our people exposure, they are much capable to do it.
If you to go back, would you?
Well, I don't normally put stops on my life. I take everything as it comes. So if an opportunity comes that I must go somewhere, if I'm interested, why not?
You play a lot of Tupac. What role is Tupac playing in your life? Like, looking at where you've been and looking at the context that we're actually discussing now, like, what is Tupac?
Tupac is very central to my life. I consume his music religiously and traditionally. I think he's an intellectual. He's a cultural expert, somebody who knows how to dissect and analyze social issues through art and music. So his music speaks to the struggles of black people.
Don't you get tired of being all too serious all the time?
No, it's not a matter of being too serious. It's a matter of understanding that as black community, to fix our communities, we need to get serious and we need to get some job done. Because distracting or undermining the culture of white supremacy in South Africa, this culture has been embedded for centuries. There's no way people should say, no, we are now taking a nap from being activists. If you interested in the emancipation of black people and how they live and how their lives has been fucked up by capitalism and white supremacy, you wouldn't have time to say, no, you are too serious, you need to rest. It's something that we have to think about every day. I know people get tired of me because I lack the human sense, because I'm always problematizing concepts. But this is the world we live in. We live in...
That's true.
Tupac says, how can I be peaceful when I come from the bottom?
You can't be.
So it's what it is.
Do you think okay, let me put it like this. When you left for the UK, right? And it was like, wow, Makgoba and all that. Like, you became instantly like so popular and all that. And you came back in and out. And how was it like, the reception, you know, among the young ones? Like, we were like, you know what, we're drawing inspiration from this guy.
It has been mixed.
And do you think there's such thing like celebrities scholar or something?
No, I don't.
Do you think you
so.
are a
No,
celebrity?
I'm not. I am not a celebrity. I think I just have a loud mouth.
I
have a big mouth.
Actually you have a big mouth.
And I use it very well. And I think the transition for me has been like being just a normal media graduate to somebody who can have an opinion on political issues. And I think that has been an important transition in my life.
Yeah.
But in terms of how people receive me, it has been mixed reaction.
Yeah.
Many people just think that because you studied abroad, you are automatically anti-black. You don't love black people.
Wow,
you have changed. You hate black people. And it's kind of painful because many of people who think this way don't even know where you come from.
I wanted to ask, like,
they don't know.
You know these people. Like,
they don't know the struggles you've been through.
Yeah.
But they've given themselves the right to judge that. Oh, look, who's in England? Obviously, which is very painful.
Yeah.
Secondly, other people just think that you studied abroad, you are super smart. It's not true. People who study abroad are not necessarily smart.
Yeah.
I've studied with people who I see, if this person came to one university in South Africa, they will not pass.
Shut up.
Yes. So, well,
shut up.
Those are just,
this
dominant.
Is practicing your loud mouth.
No, this is just dominant narratives.
Yeah.
That when you study abroad, you're super smart. No, it's not true.
Yeah. Wow. So you've been doing media commentary. You know, I don't know. Are you still pushing it? Are you considering it as a career?
No, it's not a career. It's community service, because one of the things that I do is I care about black people. So some of the things that I do is to use the existing platform to put our voice out there, because I want to speak for my people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not worried about what they think of me, because we have this problem of trying to say, oh, this one is a sellout, this one is not a sellout. I'm not into that.
Like, you've been called such?
Well, people, as I told you, they just assume that you study abroad.
Yeah.
They think that you are no longer black enough to pontificate or to say something on certain things.
Yeah.
And
but
for me, I really don't care. Yeah.
Okay. Well, for me, my observation to you, in terms of that perception, it's, you know, the dress code.
Okay.
It has changed. Like, obviously they're black. Not that I'm complaining. I'm like, that shit is weird. But I think that translates into your wokeness and access to things and all that. But I'm like, hey man, all-star of Chica, you understand? Because you're gonna put up some fucking colorful shit that going on. I'm like, hey man, what's wrong with this guy? And mind you, looking at the hair and all that, this what we see in the media and all that, because I wanna bring something like symbolic here, to say this is African. This is how you embrace your Africanness and all that. Not to say you just want to look janky or something, but then I'm sure you do get that, and to say, you know what, this is how I look, this identity, because there's some people who really don't care about how they look.
Well, I am conscious about how I look, and I know that my hairstyle is a political statement.
Yeah, okay, I knew it. Yeah,
it's a political statement.
Just want to get people talking.
Well, not really.
So you guys can talk.
No, because black hair has kind of been stigmatized.
Yeah.
That having Monna Meriri as a Monna, Rebecca Malope, people say that on social media, because Rebecca only a huge hairstyle. Like, there's only one man, the one who's a cheese cop, the rest give Rebecca Malope. So embracing black hair is a political statement, because through the culture of white supremacy, black has been stigmatized, hated, became unprofessional. So for me to put this hair, it's an expression of my real identity. I'm black, my hair's natural. When it curls, it expresses itself. Not that I need to straighten it up. Why should I straighten my hair when it's taking its natural texture and shape?
Miss Universe won the pigeons through her own natural look and all that. I think that's also changing the idea about hair.
Perceptions about black hair. And I think it's part of the deconstruction movement and cultures and politics of hair. Why should we keep our hair? Because it's who we are. We have black hair and we must embrace it.
Can I join you? It's you and Zozie and who else, you know, in terms of the movement of deconstruction?
Well, I don't know, because as I said, there are people who think that we are not black enough. Even though some people, the most painful thing is white people do not have a problem with my hair. It's only black people who complain that your hair is untidy. And more often than not, I ask, what do you mean by untidy? I watched it.
Yeah.
But no, it's hlakahlakana.
Yeah.
Who decide whether something's hlakahlakana? So why? Because they grew up embracing white supremacy. There's certain level of texture, the hair has to be straight. Why? Because it conforms, it comes close to whiteness. And when somebody has Miriam Tonaleaka, Banagana or oh Mutoki Tutsi, Ashapa, Akano Charapo, Banalian, which is very nonsensical.
Metjie Makgoba, thank you so much for coming here. Yeah, believe you me, this is gonna go online, and the people that you criticize, they're gonna come after you. Guys, thank you so much for watching TEF Live. And today we got a bit too serious with this guy talking about his hair. As you can see, look, it's a political statement. Ciao.